I tried walking 100,000 steps within 18 hours, but I sadly failed and could only make it to 75,000 steps within 15 hours. And I just wanted to share an experience. We have the physical experience on the one side, and on the other side, we have the mental experience. And those are completely different stories. I was really flashed when I came home and spent some time just thinking about it. What the fuck actually happened? And also, many people asked me, why would you do it? And in the beginning, I thought it was just a random challenge, but after doing it, I could really understand why I did it. So the first, just the basic concept on what I planned. I left the home at 6:40 a.m. and calculated 18 hours, so I would be returning at 12:40 a.m. the next day. I just started with my backpack. I had some water, some energy drinks. I had a few nuts and almonds and such stuff, just smaller snacks and foods just for the journey. It was also a weekday, so technically, if I needed something, I could just walk into a store and buy something. And then I just started walking. It was good. My mind pumped up. Everything was ready. Everything was jacked up. So it was good. Feet, legs, everything was doing good. So I left for the first bigger city close by and spent there 6 hours. I needed to because I had to grab lunch there. I had like a chicken and rice, so just some energy. And then, yeah, I walked 6 hours straight, non-stop, and it was rainy and sunny. And at some point, I didn't have an umbrella, so I got completely wet and everything. But it was nice. It was definitely doable. And then I hit the 33K mark at roughly 12:20 p.m. and then 6 hours later. And it was good. I was good in time. I was doing great. And then I left for some smaller towns far out. And at roughly, let's say 3:20 p.m., I hit the 50K mark. So I was definitely good in time. I was half the distance in half the time. And yeah, until then, everything was fine. I was doing good. The mental, the body was, everything was fine. Of course, you see some kind of exhaustion, but I genuinely thought I could make it. I really thought I could make it. Then things started to change. I didn't know at that point that 12,000 steps later, I would be living in hell. I will for eternity remember the number 62,000. When I hit the 62K steps, things changed drastically. I have no words for what basically happened. I tripped, fell on my left knee, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. It wasn't even a scratch or something. I just fell a little and that's it. And then I thought, maybe we can take a 5-minute break because my feet were fucking hurting, and then maybe a little break was good. I took off my shoes, I took off my socks. My socks were white, actually, but they were brown and red mixed, so that was really crazy. And they were hurting really bad, so I had to apply some gel on it just to help that thing cool down and so on, because they were basically burning. And then I just lied down and I asked myself the question again, why I did it. Why would anybody with a normal mind attempt this thing? And the answer first would be, yeah, because it's just a challenge, let's get it, man. But it changed. It changed. I asked myself that question again and I told myself, bro, I don't know. Like, why would you do it? Why am I even here? And then the mind really broke down. There was such an experience. So my body, I couldn't walk anymore. Like from that point on, from 62K steps, I basically walked 5 minutes and had to stop for 10 minutes and then repeat that for several times. I was in the middle of nowhere and at some point I reached a bus station. I sat down to just relax and sit down. Until 5 or 10 minutes later, I had no time feeling anymore at that point. Like, it was completely gone. It could have also been 30 minutes. I really don't know it anymore. A bus came, and my body just instinctively stood up and walked away. Like, you're not gonna take this bus. No way. I'm not gonna let you go home. You have to finish this. And the self-talk normally would be like, yo man, you got it, let's go, everything is fine, we can do it. I was alone, so maybe it would have been easier if I was with somebody else. But I was doing okay, it was fine. But the self-talk really changed then. The self-talk really went into, no man, I don't know. I don't know if we can do it. Like, our legs are basically not moving anymore. Even sitting hurts, staying hurts, walking hurts. Only thing which would have been good was lying, but I couldn't lie down on the street, so just existing at that point hurt physically. And maybe also mentally, but there was some another story. I would always just see stories from David Goggins. I read his book, and he talks about his Badwater 135 run. So that's basically running 135 miles or 220 kilometers. And after doing this challenge, walking 54 kilometers within 15 hours, I could grasp so much what he actually had to go through. Because if you have to really jog or run 220 fucking kilometers, that's insane. And he always talks in his book about that the mind is everything. The mind is everything out there. The body is just a tool. And I realized that it is really the mind, because as I stood up on the next day, of course I had blisters all over my toes, so I had to cut them open. But my body was surprisingly working. I could walk more or less okay. The first day was, of course, a little bit difficult, but there was no sore muscle or anything, just the feet were like completely done. And then I realized, yes, I could have definitely walked more. That was not the dead end. And he talks about his 40% rule, where he says, when you think you are done, it's just 40%. And it was just so amazing to see, to also feel it on your own body, that maybe you could have been doing more. There was more to it. That maybe I was really able to make it if my mind was more ready or more willing to do it. And then the answer to why I was doing it turned into, it's a question of principles. Trying things, getting out there, exposing yourself, going voluntarily into the discomfort where basically growth lies. It was so confusing to see that a physical discomfort, a physical challenge, leads to so much mental and emotional growth, because you have to be really resilient. You have to constantly fight that thought of giving up. And you're not giving up. I'm continuing further as much as I can. And it was just me basically holding on to something and walking the last few steps I could. And it was just so amazing seeing that afterwards, that of course I gave up, and I'm still down to trying it again. I will definitely make it 100%. Just seeing that makes something with you. You see yourself as basically trying something which nobody else does, because many people ask me, you are not going to find anybody who does that with you. You are not going to find anybody who is even down at least the half of it. And I was like, yeah, man, but I don't give a shit, and I will do it alone. I also worked out on New Year's evening for 6 hours straight with like 50-second rest between each set. That was also something different. And I just realized that on the other side of this whole journey of being in discomfort, that's where you find yourself. That's where you find yourself. When everything is quiet, there's no car, there's nobody around you, your mind basically shuts the fuck up, your body is completely broken. That's where you find yourself. And I was so mesmerized by that, so to say, using a fancy word, just to see that such a seemingly insane thing to do turned out such an amazing lesson for body and mind. And then I realized, yes, it's a question of principles in the sense of continuing when things get hard, doing the hard thing, even if you really don't want to do it. Because I think you can do it, and the body also knows that it can do it, but you stop wanting to do it. And that's the problem. So I don't know if anybody needs to hear that, but going out into the discomfort voluntarily really leads to growth. It really gives you some kind of strength and resilience and endurance to just go out there, expose yourself. And you might fail. I failed. I definitely failed. The 2 stations I drove with the bus, it was bad. I hated myself, really. Like, I told myself, like, oh man, are we really giving up? Am I really giving up? And then you just go again. You just go again and try it again until you get it done. It was such a different experience, and I really can't grasp it into words, I guess, and I tried my best to explain it. But just the way your mind evolves afterwards is something different. I just had to pause 1 week before I could run again. And I really run my few kilometers every day, and I can still feel my shins and my knees not fully recovered, but that's just how it is. You're pushing your body to the limits, trying to better yourself, trying to grow in every aspect you can is a hard journey. It's a really difficult journey, and it's definitely easy just to stay in comfort and just waking up, pressing snooze 5,000 times and just laying in bed, hoping things will get easier, but they won't. You just have to get up and get out there. Try to better yourself in every aspect, whatever you try, whatever you aim to achieve, be that making money, be that working out, everything. I mean, I do like weightlifting and also cardio training. I thought I would be in good condition, and I am actually, but not for that. Yeah, that's something else. So just as a final remark, going out there, exposing yourself, showing people your real self, who you really are, just getting after the things you want to have. For some people, it's, as I said, money. For some people, it's just trying to better themselves from day to day to day until you turn 80 or something. Just never stopping and trying to reach for more. And I guess, of course, with somebody else, it would have been more fun until the fun, of course, stops. But just the help of other people really can get you somewhere. And I try to get somebody with me next time. Maybe my brother will help me. He's perhaps as dumb as I am. I guess that's just what I learned. And some philosophical lessons in the end.